Hi everyone. Today I'm sharing a study we recently published in the Lancet Regional Health Southeast Asia, and the core question we tried to answer is this: can a smartphone app accurately detect whether a child is stunted? We're talking about the Child Growth Monitor app, or CGM, developed by Welthungerhilfe. We took it into the real world to 4 community health posts in rural Nepal and put it head to head against the gold standard, a trained anthropometrist with a calibrated height board. The short answer? It performed remarkably well. But let me walk you through the why, the how, and the nuance. Let's start with why this matters. Stunting, when a child is too short for his or her age, is one of the most important indicators of chronic undernutrition. Globally, about 22% of children under 5 are stunted. That's roughly 148 million children. In South Asia, it climbs to nearly 31%. And in Nepal, where we conducted the study, the stunting prevalence was of 31.5%, just above the regional average. Stunting isn't just a height problem. It affects brain development, school performance, lifetime earnings, and even the national GDP. The economic losses in some countries runs to over 1% of GDP annually. So we need to identify these children early at the community level. But that's where things get hard and complicated. Traditional manual anthropometry, that is measuring the height of a child with a board, requires trained personnel, careful technique, and consistent protocols. In resource-limited settings, you face human error, staff shortages, and inconsistent measurement quality. Manual Z-score plotting is also error-prone, especially for the frontline worker. All of this limits the scalability of malnutrition surveillance. That's the gap this technology is trying to fill. So how does the CGM app work? You take a smartphone. In our case, we took a Huawei P30 Pro, which had a time of flight depth sensor from Sony. The enumerator photographs the child in 4 standard poses. The TOF sensor captures depth maps, which the AI then uses to reconstruct a 3-dimensional body model. A deep learning algorithm predicts the child's height from that model. And crucially, the result is automatically plotted on the WHO growth charts, so the field worker immediately sees whether the child is stunted and how severely without doing any manual calculations. The app works offline, which matters in low connectivity settings. Images are automatically deleted from the device after upload, and all data is encrypted. It's also available in Nepali, not just English. The key promise of this technology over manual methods is it reduces observer-dependent error, the variability that comes from different people measuring differently. But of course, any tool like this needs rigorous validation before it can be trusted in the field. Our study had 2 components. We recruited 310 children aged 24 to 59 months. Roughly half of them were boys and half girls, across 8 villages in Welthungerhilfe district, one of Nepal's high malnutrition regions. We enrolled them through village health volunteers at 4 health posts. First, a cross-sectional validation. Each child was scanned with CGM, then measured manually. And this was done by a trained enumerator. Both measurements were taken on the same day and were blinded. This gave us our validity data. Second, a prospective reliability assessment. 40% of the children came back 4 days later and were measured again by both the original enumerator and a second enumerator. This let us assess how consistent CGM is, both within the same operator and across different operators. 8 enumerators were selected after a rigorous 3-day smart methodology training to make the measurements, and only those who passed an acceptable technical error threshold were included. Now the results, and they are strong. Compared to manual measurements as the gold standard, CGM achieved a sensitivity of 84%. That means it correctly detected 84 out of 100 children who were truly stunted. Note that this was a mixed group. 24 to 59 is a relatively larger, wider age band. Specificity was 98.2%, so it almost never falsely flagged a healthy child as stunted. This is important in field conditions. We do not want wrong labels. That creates a lot of anxiety for everyone. The positive predictive value was 96.3%, meaning when CGM said a child was stunted, it was right 96% of the time. This is really something important in high prevalence settings. The negative predictive value was 91.6%. Overall accuracy, a little more than 93%. What's also reassuring is that these numbers held up across subgroups. Accuracy was 94%, 93.8% to be more specific, in boys, 92.4% in girls. It dipped slightly in the youngest group, 24 to 35 months, at 85%, but remained above 93% in older age groups. The ROC analysis showed an area under curve of 0.88 for one enumerator and 0.85 for the second, both indicating good discriminatory ability. Beyond accuracy, we needed to know, does the CGM app give the same result, same answer, regardless of who is using it? And the answer we got was a yes. Intra-rater reliability, that is same enumerator measuring the same child 4 days apart, gave us an intra-class correlation coefficient of 0.99. Same was the story for inter-rater reliability as well. That is when two different enumerators measured the same child, we got a very high ICC. Both were exceptionally high. The technical error of measurement, TEM, was just 0.5 centimeters, that is 5 millimeters, in both cases. To put that in context, a TEM of 0.5 centimeter is on par with well-trained manual anthropometrists in controlled settings. The app essentially eliminates the skill gap between operators. The bland Altman analysis showed that CGM slightly overestimates height on average by 0.3 centimeters, that is 3 millimeters, which may also partly be because the app picks up or might be picking up scalp hair length. The limits of agreement ranged from minus 1.6 to plus 2.2 centimeter. For population level screenings, this is clinically acceptable. Importantly, the app also meets UNICEF's 2025 target product profile criteria for height measurement accuracy, an important benchmark for public health adoption. We had certain operational challenges and limitations. We experienced data loss due to faulty devices, and at times the sensor could have confused with the background colors. Most of these depth images could be retrieved. The study included only children aged 24 to 59 months. Children under 2 are usually measured lying down, recumbent length, and the CGM app currently requires the child to stand still. So we can't yet speak to the app's performance in that critical under 2 age group. Our results are also specific to the phone that we used and the sensor that we used. We used a phone of a particular make. The performance on other devices isn't yet established, though external TOF sensors can be attached to make the app phone agnostic. We also did not randomize our order of measurement. CGM measurements always happened before the manual measurements, so some order dependent bias can't be ruled out. And of course, the study was done only in Nepal at the moment, though we feel that this is quite generalizable, but further generalizability may be considered for testing. So what does all this really mean? In practical terms, this study provides strong evidence that CGM can be used at the front line of malnutrition surveillance. It meets international benchmarks, produces consistent results across operators, automatically generates WHO growth charts, and works offline in community settings. For programs struggling with staffing and standardization, especially in remote areas, this is significant. Training manual anthropometrists takes significant time and resources, and further there is a need to monitor. An app that delivers comparable accuracy with shorter training could help scale screening in places where it is currently not feasible, and the results can also be monitored on a dashboard. Looking ahead, there are 3 priority areas for future research. First, and most urgently, validating CGM in children under 24 months. That's the most critical window for stunting prevention. Second, developing 3D weight estimation. CGM currently only predicts height. If we can add weight, the app becomes a comprehensive malnutrition screening tool, detecting wasting, underweight, and obesity too. Third, testing in diverse geographies and populations to build the evidence for broader integration into routine health systems. The bottom line from our study is this: a smartphone app using AI and 3D depth sensing can detect childhood stunting with 93% accuracy and near perfect reliability in real community health post conditions in rural Nepal. It meets UNICEF standards and performs consistently across age groups, gender, and nutritional subgroups. However, there's still more work to do, particularly for younger children and diverse settings. But this is a genuinely promising step towards scalable, standardized malnutrition screening at the community level. If you're working in this space and want to discuss the findings, feel free to get in touch with us. The paper is open access in the Lancet Regional Health, Southeast Asia, Volume 48. It was published in April 2026. The link is in the description. Thank you for watching.